Welcome to the first edition of Cameroon on LT Sports, where we are bringing this Cameroon football world to you, wherever you are in the world. I am Mwambo Edward, as always, in the company of Miley Edmond, my main guy. Miley, we are beginning a new journey to talk about Cameroon's football on LT Sports TV. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mwambo. Good evening, fans out there. It's a new experience. We are happy to be able to take our viewers out there through football in Cameroon, diving into the inner bowls of our local championships, sourcing out talents, telling the story, and bringing to spotlight our football as it should be.
If you are just joining us wherever you are in the world, it is LT TV and LT Sports TV, and the program is Cameroon. Miley Edmond, our first talking point of the evening is the Cameroon Super Cup that ended in disgrace. It was meant to be a colorful ceremony. It was by some dimensions, but then the party went sour when a penalty was awarded to Bande Sportif of Ndé, and the players of Colombe Sportif of Njanelobo opted to walk off the game. That was not what was on the script, and it dented a very bad image, not just to the game, but to Cameroon's football as a whole.
Yes, it was unfortunate. The Champions Trophy is the flagship game of the season. They pitted Panther against Colombe. But the narrative is the match did not stop because of the penalty incident. The match stopped because when the Colombe players returned, the referee, for one reason, and upon advice from his assistant, adjudged that the captain of Colombe required a red card, and when he gave the red card, that's when the Colombe players now finally decided that they would not be able to continue with the game. And it's unfortunate that even though the Colombe players had first of all protested and took 20 minutes in order to be able to return to the pitch, you would have expected the referee to be more proactive in their thinking and say, we are in a tense situation here. That red card, although by law should be given in the spirit of the game in order for continuity, he should have been able to maintain the yellow card and let the game play on. Unfortunately, they took an alternative decision, which therefore led to the cancellation of the game.
The walking off the pitch has now become a style. We saw it at the highest level of African football when Senegal threatens to walk off from the final, and Samuel Eto'o, Fecafoot's president, said the Senegal coach Pape Thiaw was right to call off his players from the pitch because to him he was fighting for justice. Now, Colombe can use a similar case and say that we thought we were treated unfairly, so we did ourselves justice to walk away.
And that's where the precedent set at the AFCON was very, very dangerous for African football. A lot of people were applauding because probably they thought Morocco was duly or unduly favored. So you had a lot of applause from Cameroonians, from Africans, from people across the world. But I kept saying that precedent is very, very dangerous, especially for Cameroon football, where last season there were lots of controversial decisions. And the question was, would every team now be able to walk off? I mean, it finally happened with the Colombe game, but it had threatened to happen in several other games. The Dynamo versus Canon game, Canon players actually stopped playing when a penalty was awarded to Dynamo.
We had some players sit down, some players threatening to leave. It's now becoming a style, and it's a worry. Now, the president of the FA defended Senegal on France 24 TV, and now he has brought out the sledgehammer. It is going to come down sooner or later on Colombe. We've seen communiques from all sorts of bodies condemning what Colombe did. But again, I repeat that they were fighting for justice.
Yes, and injustice is usually based on how the oppressed person feels. Maybe Senegal felt they were receiving injustice, they walked off. Colombe felt, I mean, it will not be the same. So people usually want to think that it should be the same injustice that people should be able to protest against. But different teams have different ways in which they view injustice. but it is going to be terrible. And you realize that the federation is at a fix now. What kind of decision do they tend to take? Because
A pedigree of the club, Column of Janelobo, reigning Cameroon champions, a team that has the financial muscle of the elite of the South. If you treat them anyhow, you might see anyhow.
yeah, because it's not just about the sports; it's also about the politics. I mean, Colom is now the flag bearer for the South region. It has a lot of backing from the political elite from that region. And also, Colom has been, in the past season, seen as one of the darlings of the federation.
Many say that today they are being served a taste of their own medicine, because last season they were supported all across the country. Remember the game in Cameroon against Gazelle, where the referee gave 3 penalties. Dagamundi, the popular referee, and Gazelle protested. Dagamundi stopped the game, and the game was given to Colomb. So many are saying that Colomb were the beneficiaries of injustice last season. Why are they crying foul today?
No, I mean, once you're part of a system and the system starts treating you badly, you want to be able to fight back, and that's where the danger lies. It means Colum has has a lot of inside information with regards to the system, and if you go ahead now to want to punish them drastically, that might open a Pandora box and secrets will start flying. I am predicting that the federation, I mean, given the fact that it was a once-off game, the federation will now not want to get into the championship to punish them.
Knowing that apart from what happened on the day in that game, there are other problems that are between the FA and Colomb. Remember the issue where Colomb said they've not received their monies. Many thought they had already shot themselves on the leg because they will be hunted down.
Yes, so my prediction will Colomb will be given a fine, huge fine, be it whether they paid or not. They can come out later and say they were paid. They will be given a fine. Richard Toa will be given
some touchline bans,
match bans, take into consideration that it does not really affect performance. Then 2 or 3 players, maybe
might be suspended.
Randy and a couple of other players will be suspended.
We are already seeing the fall-offs of that game, and we are coming back to that in the course of the program. But one thing we are sure of is that the final was a mess, because it didn't go to an end like many would have loved, and we saw that these days teams can walk off because someone somewhere someday applauded that teams can walk off from games when they feel that they are treated unjustly. We shall be coming back with our next talking point. Welcome back to the program, Prof. Miley. Apart from the negatives that are surrounding Cameroon's football, there are also positives. There was a colorful ceremony of the Ballon d'Or Awards for last year's footballers in Cameroon, that was graced by Cameroon's First Lady, Madame Chantal Biya, that was graced by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education. That some say was a one-man show in the glory of the FA president, but at the end of the day, they were winners of awards, and deservingly so.
Yes, I mean, kudos to them and kudos to their event management team. There's been steady improvement in the organization and the presentation of the Cameroon Football Awards. Last year was good. This year it has gotten better. Federation deserves the credit for that. Where you start finding difficulties for me is because I think it has become more political than football. I mean, it is more of showcasing.
My brother Giovanni Wane says it was a political rally that was meant to glorify the FA president.
Yeah, because in a football event, you would expect that the spotlight should be on the footballers. I mean, you want to be able to, this is the biggest football event in Cameroon, out of field football event. You want to be able to showcase and spotlight it on the footballers, but you realize that the closest footballers are 3 or 4 rows behind. There is an incident during the show.
We saw Achille Emana, Raymond Kalakongo, and the rest who were all present there, as we can see from the images. They all came in to grace that occasion, which means that somewhere, somehow, former footballers had their place. Personally, many think that Achille Emana and Samuel Eto'o are enemies, but Emana was first to thank Eto'o to give him the chance to attend the ceremony.
Yes, I mean, the participation or the attendance is not a problem. There is a clip that highlights the point I'm trying to say. When the president of the federation was giving accolades to Coach David Pago, they had to actually, camera person had to actually find David Pago in the hall
Pabu
and
in the
had to spot
hall,
him behind.
way behind.
So you start thinking, if this is the national team coach, he should be sitting front row. I do understand that in Cameroon everything is always intertwined between politics, and so has its fingers everywhere. But you would have expected that the seat placement in the hall, there will be a certain column where they put the political people. Then there's another column where you put the football people, so that the football people are also seated ahead. That is, I mean, this is for football. Unfortunately, we have a situation, we have a country where politics usually
Takes
has.
precedence over everything. We also had the MCs because we've got lots of people who do public speaking amongst us in the house. The MCs did not seem to master those who are the key actors. They did not seem to master the clubs. You would have thought that maybe a sports journalist should have been given the chance to be the master of ceremony. But on the day, we got guys who know little or nothing about football given the honors, and the errors were abound, and there were many.
And this is where the issue lies. I mean, the glitz and the glam is top notch. The federation, I mean, this is the best event organized in terms of presentation, building up, all of that's fine. But the football aspect is very, 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 very missing. The hall was full with a lot of, I mean, what they call today influencers. As a marketer, I think that is the most abused word currently. You bring in people who do not watch
Who know
football.
nothing about football
You bring in hosts.
because they've got followers on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to go and showcase the event. Which someone say, if it is for the followers, for the likes on social media, fine. But how much of football do these guys know? That is the
Yeah,
problem.
so you find that when the presenters came in, they did not know where these players played. They had no background information about the players. There were no stats that were presented. It is because they are not.
Now, apart from the lapses in terms of organization that we might have pointed out, which some say were minimal because the essence was there, the glamour was there, the color was there, everything was top notch, and the winners or those who had the big awards were awarded cars and prize monies from sponsors. Let's talk about the awards proper. The Ballon d'Or winner, the top player who succeeds Chindo John Bosco, who was the winner last time out, is Serge Daoura from Gazelle Academy of Garwa. Daoura is 15 goals and he is the best young player, top goal scorer, best passer of the season. Deservingly so, right?
Yes, I mean, head and shoulders above all other contestants that were up for that position. Serge Daura has been able to mesmerize the league, playing wonderful and scintillating football alongside a very exciting Gazelle team. He showed his mastery and his dominance, ending the season top scorer, top assist. I mean, that is massive. It has not happened for a very, very long time in Cameroon football to have somebody who creates and also finishes.
Finishes.
It therefore means he alone is contributing over 50-60% of Gazelle's goals in a season. That really, really stands out as a performance, and he does merit it from the statistics and from the performance on the field.
He missed out of a chance to join Al Ali of Cairo, but he's back with Gazelle and has already scored a goal with them in the current campaign. In the women's category, it was won by Liz Tiwa of Leke Fubofi. She also won top scorer in the women's league with 22 goals and also was unplayable across all the games she played in Cameroon.
Yes, Lekia Fields is the top team in Cameroon, and having the best player simply is a sign and indicator that they are doing a marvelous job. Lees scores, Lees participates in the defensive game, Lees participates in creating opportunities and assists for her teammates. That shows the level. I mean, football in Cameroon, female football in Cameroon is on a steady. About the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen improvements in terms of organization, in terms of professionalism, and in terms of performance. And it's kudos to the main sponsor. Also kudos to the federation. that they've now been able to again put in a lot of investment. Hopefully, the interference in terms of club management, with the case of Andrew Onana's brother and the team,
Eclair Football Feed, sir.
so if they can be able to
Sort that out. Eclair have been brought back already, so we don't know how much they will participate freely, because once you're already in the bad books, everyone knows that with the current Fika foot, you might not see through the season. Or apart from all of these little things, we had the best goalkeeper was for Elite One, went to Colombe's Idrissou for Finya, who has now moved out of Cameroon. He has signed for a club. He left Janus of South Sudan, and he has now got himself a new club in Zimbabwe. He has signed for Dynamos of Zimbabwe. We are hoping that he goes there and blossoms. For the women, the best goalkeeper was Shantanga of Amazon Fee. Best coach, Elite One, Richard Toa, the coach of Colombe. He won the league like a true champion, so we understand why he got to get the best coach in Elite One. For the best coach for the women's league, the Guinea Super League, it went to Stefan Janangono of Leke Fee. Goal of the season for the men, Eric Peck of Dinamo got the award. Goal of the season for the Guinea Super League went to Onela Molu of Vision Sports. Best club, Elite One, Colombe, without any doubt. Winners of the league, Cameroon Cup finalists. So you can understand why they had to walk away with so many accolades. Best club, Guinea Super League, Leke Football Fee, Cameroon champions. So there too, there is no question. Best referee, Elite One, Abdul Mifere, the Cameroon referee who also took part in the AFCON in Morocco. Best referee, Guinea Super League, is Ntangsi Inocencia. Best assistant referee, Elite One, Tikie Charles. Best assistant referee, Guinea Super League, Yepe Priska. And special prize of the day went to coach David Pagu. David Pagu was on the short list of the best coaches alongside Richard Toa and Yves Clement Aruga of Panther of Ndei. Toa won the award. My question here is, why was the coach of Gazelle, Alium Kada, left out from that short list?
I mean, that's a strange one. Last year, Coach Pago was coaching PWG Bamenda, and PWG Bamenda was fighting at the lower ends of the championship, played the championship playoffs in order to be able to stay afloat.
In Elite One.
So to have him future on the list against the coach
of Gazelle, who many thought was by far the best coach. If you take away Toa, who won the league, the next coach would have been Alium Kada. Again, even without winning the league, with the players and the means at his disposal and what he achieved, he deserves to be the best coach. He deserves
to be the amongst the
best coaches.
The best coaches. For me, Ndaga Mune was cheated. He should have been the best referee for last season. I mean, he was headline referee. Mefiri cheated him.
Prof is joking. We'll try coming back with our next talking point. You are on Cameroon on LT Sports Television. You're welcome back. This is Kame Sports on LT Sports Television. Prof Maeli Edmond, there was a strange event that took place in Bamenda on the sidelines of the game between Coton Sport of Garua, rather, and PWG of Bamenda. The coach of Coton Sport of Garua, who doubles as the Cameroon national team coach, came in to that game with donations to the Abakwa boys. He brought in 10 balls. David Pagu brought in donations to Bamenda. And I'm wondering that you are a football man. You stay, and Thomas Tuchel, who was coach of Chelsea before he became coach of England, comes to Chelsea and donates to Chelsea. Or you see Pep Guardiola in a game between Barcelona and Man City. He played, he captained, he coached Barcelona, brings donations to Barca. I am not getting it straight. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I thought it was wrong and abnormal.
The issue here is Coach Pagu. Everywhere he goes with a double capacity. One, he's the national team coach, and then two, he's the coach of Cotton Sport. Now, is how he tends to manage the two personalities and not allow one in order to be able to interfere on the other. That will be able to provide more clarity. I think that he was trying to be able.
Let's establish here whether he comes with 10 caskets or is it 10 caps on his head as whatever. That the coach of the national team is, and the coach of a club is donating to another club. Why isn't he giving the same to the rest of the club?
David Pago comes into every game. He walks into any stadium in Cameroon with that double capacity. He's head of the national team. He's head of Cotton Sport. How he manages the two roles usually would now be able to bring in either conflicts of interest or clarity. And I think that he has a certain personal association with PWG Bamenda. Remember, he was there when
He won the league. He won the cup with them.
and he's really been embraced in Bamenda. When you go to Bamenda, people have a lot of fond memories talking about him. So the lines are blurred.
But I have a worry, Prof. Pago has coached in Yaoundé. He has coached with Asomgumu. He's coached Cosmos of Bafia. He's coached Stade Rena. So are we saying that Stade Rena and the rest are also expecting their own balls?
That thing usually, you know, that coaching, not the ties, the bonds, you know, usually the same. I mean, some clubs have, some coaches have personal ties.
If you were in Cotton Sports Management and your head coach goes to your opponent club and donates footballs to them, and at the end of the day you are beaten, like Cotton Sport lost by 2-1, won't you ask questions?
I mean, they have already been able to accept that they have the national team coach. I mean, he's clearly been able to define his roles and his functions. When he travels in that dual capacity, and probably they're fine with it. Now,
I don't think we should assume they are fine with it, because we've not heard all praises from them about it, because this issue has raised some dust. The national team coach, fine. Coach of Cotton Sport is going to play against another team, and he gets there and is giving them balls.
you can also be able to look at it from the alternative or the point of view where he goes to games and opponents applaud him. So you start thinking, Pago, based on his performance at the AFCON, has really been able to increase his liking amongst Cameroonians. And there's always going to be that deadline. I mean, there's always going to be people are always going to mix him up as a Cotton Sport coach and as a national team coach.
So to you, there is no problem in what he did.
I find no.
Let's put on our professional thinking caps here.
I find no issue if he went there, then he gave after the game, because after the game he called.
It was more before the game.
Before the game, when they walked in, then he says, okay, me as Pago, I'm giving you 10 balls. You guys.
Maybe it was after the game, I don't know, but then we saw the images and we're worried about it.
Yeah, so far as it does not influence his decisions as coach of Cotton Sport and coach of the national team, I think the gesture as the capacity in the capacity of national team coach, for me, I think it's okay.
Where do we draw the line? Because you are Pago of Cotton Sport. How do we know where your loyalties lie if you're making donations to your opponents?
Now that is always going to be the issue when you have a coach who manages the national team and who also manages the club, because we are also going to start saying, if he starts calling players from Cotton Sport, even though they are performing, it would be that he's favoring players one club over the other. So he has to be able to. He accepted.
So probably someone somewhere has to have a rethink over appointing a national team coach who is a coach of a club in the country, because it's rare. It happens. It has happened before, but it's not the model. It's something that is considered more of an exceptional way of doing things than the norm.
Yes, so they have to be able to rethink, especially in a very controversial environment like our football these days. It would have been better if he was made exclusively head coach. Now, how the federation, how Cotton Sport, and how coach himself manages it's critical in order for there to be less conspiracy theories and less controversy.
You are on Camefoot on LT Sports. We are broadcasting live from the Fexify studios here in Molikoboya. We shall be coming back with our next talking point. Welcome back to Camefoot on LT Sports TV with me, Amwambo Edward and Maili Edmund. Prof, the M10 Elite One is running very fast. It's like a sprint because probably we began late. We took over about 8 to 9 months to resume, and so it's going very fast. We are already through match day 8, and there were some very exciting games that took place around the country. Here in Limbe, because they say nearest is dearest, because we are in Boya. In Limbe, there was the game between Opopo and Gazelle FA of Garwa. Quite entertaining game that saw a 2-2 scoreline. Opopo's goals were scored by Ryan Chana and defender Gilles Frank Peto. Chana gave the assist. He's a household name in that team now. Box-to-box midfielder, while Gazelle got both of their goals from Dave Tessa. But there were highlights in that game. Goalkeeper Jason Brian Mule of Opopo made 7 saves. That was quite impressive.
Yeah, Opopo this year seems to have been able to assemble a good crop of talented goalkeepers. They have 3, all of them, and the coach. They tend to trust all of the 3 goalkeepers. It's not as other models that we've seen where usually there's a very established hierarchy where there's a goalkeeper and there is an assistant. With Opopo, there is this situation where there's
rotation. In their first 3 games, they had 3 different goalkeepers, but now Mule seems to be the first choice.
Yeah, Mule has been able to establish himself as the number 1 pick in more of the games, and I mean, in those 7 saves he made, 3 of them were 1-on-1. So that is quite massive, and it shows the level of improvement that they've been able to do. So Mule has the potential to be able to become a great stopper. Hopefully he gets to meet more attacking teams like Gazelle that will bring out the best in him.
With that kind of firepower that Gazelle has, and imagine that he made 7 saves and the game finished 2-2.
So that's quite impressive, and that tells the story. Opopo has been able to pick a more youthful team.
Despite all the controversy, there is some substance in that team that, if properly harnessed, can do something good.
Yes, I mean, they have a very, very young team. I mean, well balanced. They brought in a lot of youthful players.
Like young Rodolphe Lyonga from Senior Dev, who is doing signs and wonders. Like young Akal Eyon Osogo from Leicester of Tico. Like you are saying, they didn't go far to make their search. They went around and they picked the best.
Yes, and they are gelling well. If the off the field can match on the field, I think Victoria United has a very, very promising future.
Okay, but there was also a big game in Bamenda where the crowds are raining in because the Abakwa boys are back home. There is no better way to describe the fact that the Abakwa boys are playing back at the old Mancon Stadium that has now been refurbished to a new standard. Of course, that is a little more befitting than it was before. And so the Abakwa boys were at home to Cameroon's record cup winners, 17 times Cameroon League winners, multiple time Cameroon Cup winners, Cotton Sport of Garwa, and they had a difficult time because there was a man called Banta Airwood Telecom, former player of Kamjo and Isosa, who got his first goal on the day. He scored the Abakwa boys' first goal, and then their reliable man, their captain, Gufo Torrens, got their second. There was a goal from midfielder Emmanuel Mangele for Cotton Sport, but his goal was only a mere consolation.
Yes, PWG has been able to make the Bamenda Proximity Stadium a fortress. I mean, they've won all of
their games. They're under coach Tamawango. You would have thought it was a gamble to trust Tamawango after David Pagu left, but boy, he has lived up to the job.
Yes, and they've also assembled a very, very young and talented team. They train, when you see them train and when at the GTHS field in Maitri, they have a wonderful, wonderful squad, a lot of talent field there, and they've now been able to bring in Kache Boris, who had the experience
after an unproductive spell in Egypt. He's back to the Cameroon League. He didn't score, he hasn't scored yet, but just the fact that he's back is a plus for them.
Yes, it's a plus for them. He's been able to strengthen the attack, and his presence creates opportunities, creates gaps for other players of the team. So PWD, I mean, who knows, they might go for an all-season winner at every game at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium of Almendankwe, and that will boost their chances to play challenger for the season.
Kache Boris, who left Bamboo to Sambuda with so many goals under his belt and went over to Egypt. things didn't go as planned, and he's back, and we are hoping that he picks off where he left off with the Mangwa boys. Dynamo of Douala were also on show against Aigle of Mongo, and there was a show from former captain of Continental FA of Boya, who also had a spell with Isosa, Jefta Are Udwak. He scored 3 goals and an assist in that 4-0 win. He has now combined with Jules Amanko, who scored their 4th goal in that game. Together they've contributed 15 goals. Amanko is 4 goals, 4 assists. Jefta is 4 goals, 3 assists. And in this game, he got 3 of those goals and 1 assist in that 4-0 hammering.
Finally, Jefta is blossoming into the talent that we knew and we saw in Boya. If you somebody who's used to local football, I mean, he's mesmerizing. The talent he has is out of this world. I'm glad that he's finally showing his talent at the elite level, and he also shows he has a very, very strong mentality, because the game against Canon, he's the one who lost the penalty. For him,
and there was no better way to bounce back than the way he did.
For him to have come back the next game and score a hat trick and provide an assist.
The first player to score a hat trick this season in the Elite One Championship.
So that shows not just the talent, but also the mentality of the player. And hopefully he goes on to continue this fine form in order to create the platform and the opportunity for him to be able to have a bigger signing abroad.
Panthers Sportif of Newa were up against Cameroon's one of the few teams in Cameroon to have won the African Champions League. 3 times Champions League winners, 10 times Cameroon Elite One champions, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé. Panther got the win on the day by 2-1 thanks to a goal from David Theophane Gondo and a goal from Josh Mbraga. Martin Loic Akwasomo had a spell in Morocco, in the Moroccan 3rd-tier side, where Andy Derrick is playing, and he's back in Cameroon. He got a goal. He's been exciting, but in this game, he added the excitement with a goal for Canon. But that goal was not enough for Bakum and coach Patrice Nunke, who lost to coach Yves Clement Aroga.
Yes, Canon, Panther, I mean, there are 2 sides with similar characteristics so far for this season. Panther was built up to be one of the main challengers.
Cameroon Cup winners.
One of the main challengers for Elite One this season, but they started their season in very, very poor form. They've shown no consistency. Same with Canon. Canon started with 3 goalless draws. They've had the odd win, the one in Douala against Dynamo, but there are 2 teams that have not yet found their feet in this year's season.
More so for Canon than Panther, because Panther, yes, they are not too consistent, but they are better off. At one point, they were even top of the table, so they are a little better off than Canon.
Yes, I mean, and it goes on to show even last season they were there, they were playing. I mean, Clement Roga also plays. Is that one tactician who likes to be able to play a very, very tactical and technical game. Hopefully he's going to be able to fine-tune. I mean, they're still in fine-tuning stages. You expect them to come good. You expect them to be among those who will be challenging for the title this season.
There was a win for a rare win, should we point out, for coach Prosper and Ndezi and Fortuna Mfu, who beat at the time league leaders Nisport Bafang by 3-0. It was a comprehensive win. Sebastian Marie, Esono and Joseph Mbok got the goals for Fortuna Mfu. They've been struggling all season, but at a game where they were playing against the league leaders, you might have written them off, but they showed that they are Fortuna Mfu. Never ever write them off.
Yes, they have the experience. They have the experience of playing Elite One for a couple of seasons, and that usually counts. They are playing a high-flying Unisport Bafang team that has been able to take the championship by storm. But Fortuna, that has not had a
Unisport under coach Laurent Jam, one of the most experienced, the best local coaches in Cameroon. So it was a bad day in the office for Coach Jam and his boys.
Yes, I mean they're doing good so far. Nobody expected them to be topping the league before the last playing day. So I think they'll be fine. They're securing their stay at Elite One, but to be able to see or have them challenge for the title at the end of the season, I don't think that's possible.
We also had Aigle Royal Dumongo, who had a rare win. Aigle Royal de la Menua, who beat Fauvazu Elite by 1-0, thanks to a penalty from Blaise Ndifocho, former player of the Abakwa Boys. He got the winner for the team from Menua. And of course, the final game was a game between Colombe and Stade Rennais that ended in a 0-0 draw. So far, Prof. Miley, the S1 Championship is alive. Despite the little refereeing controversies here and there, the spectacle is there.
Yes, I mean, it is better this season. I mean, the controversies, the officiating decisions.
We say better. We heard a player from Povazio saying what is going on right now in Cameroon in the early championship is everything else except football, because the refereeing is appalling.
Better relatively compared to last season. I mean, last season, every single game was a scandal. Every single game. This year, yes, there have been controversial decisions, but it has not been.
When you and I remember what we watched in Lime, the game between Opopo and Piba Menda, for me to say that it is better this year, I can't summon such courage.
If we go back to last season and the incidents of Danga Mundi officiating 8 games in 8 days, always there to give a penalty. Always
the incidents are there. Dagamundi has never or has hardly handled a game without a penalty call, even this season, and most of them very controversial penalties. We've had teams threatening to walk out of games. So, in my opinion, before we start throwing in the praise flowers, let's continue to reiterate that there is room for improvement.
No, when we say relatively better, we are not saying we are there yet. I mean, if you scored 2 on 20 last term and this term is
on 3,
you score 4 on 20.
I can't even give a 4.
So I mean, it does not mean that you are there yet, but I mean, there's been a movement from 2 to 3 or 2 to 4. So what we are saying is the referees has to get better and the games have to get better.
So it's quite exciting. The teams are fighting tooth and nails to get there. We shall be coming back with the classification tables and the complete results. So those are the final results of match day 8, like you can see on our screen. Aigle 1, Povazio 0, Victoria United 2, Gazelle 2, Dynamo 4, Aigle Real du Mongo 0, Fortuna Foot 3, Unisport Bafang 0, and Piba Menda 2, Cotton Sport of Gagwa 1, Panther of Nde 2, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé 1, Column of Daniel Lobo 0, and also Stade Rennais of Melon 0 in the final game. We shall also look at the league standings after 8 playing days, as you can see on our screen. Top of the log is Unisport Bafang on 16 points, Piba Menda on 15 points, Gazelle FA of Garwa 14, Dynamo 4th with 13 points, 5th is Cotton Sport 13 points, 6th Opopo on 13 points, 7th Panther of Nde on 10 points, Canon is on the 8th spot with 9 points, 9th is Aigle with 9 points, 10th Colombe with 8 points, 11th Fortuna with 8 points, and Povazio of President Nyanobe struggling with their lives, Miley Edmond with just 8 points after with 6 points after 8 playing days, but then they still have a long way to go. There is Aigle de la Menua with 6 points and Stade Rennais of Melon, who are bottom of the log, coached by Suleiman Abubakar. They are not finding their way at all.
Yes, Stade Rennais having been one of the stalwarts of the championship that have under Pago, under even last season they played well. They're a mid-table team. A couple of seasons ago, they almost became champions. Victoria United pipped them
again under Pago as their coach.
Yeah, so it's strange to see them topping the table from the bottom end. Hopefully, the coach Suleiman will get his act right, will get the players ticking again for them to be able to get out of that position.
Lots of investments made by President and Mayor of Melon, Jean Kwete. Let's hope that the team can repay his investment by getting results on the pitch. We shall be coming back with our next talking point. You are following Cameroon on Lions Tracker Sports Television, and we are broadcasting live from the Fexify Studios in Boya. To the program, it is Camera Sports on LT Sports, on the #1 sports channel that you are discovering. Make no mistake, you are at the right place. Miley Edmond, there is a list of 30 players published by coach David Pagu ahead of Cameroon's next international duties. It is the FIFA series to take place in Australia, but Pagu has summoned 30 home-based players from 14 clubs. There are some question marks on this list because Colombo of Janelobo are the league champions, cup runners up with lots of great players, but they were all ignored by Pagu, maybe out of instructions because they actually had three players who were called up: Jalo, Eyango Prizo, and one other player,
Wasomba.
Edouard Somba, their goalkeeper, who were called up. We have their conviction letters sent by the FA, but later on, when the list of 30 players was published, these players were dropped. Is there, can we read some sort of witch hunting against Colomb? How do you explain this, Mylen?
Firstly, I mean, it simply has to come down to the incident, the game column versus Panther at the Champions Trophy, for the players to have received an invitation from the head coach prior to that game. Then after the game, when the list was published, their names do not feature. Simply means that that game had an influence or an effect on the final list. Because I mean, Edward Sombang was part of the AFCON team that went to Morocco. And for consistency's sake, you would have expected that he who has been already at the AFCON should also be part of a selection of local players. So clearly, maybe the coach and the federation, in their line of the new restored discipline or the new restored team spirit that they hail or that they put forward every time they speak about the new era for the national team. Maybe they are thinking the actions of the Cologne players do not or does not tie alongside what they want to be able to project for the national team. So that is the only plausible reason
Why these players were left out?
why these players were left out.
Okay, now let's look at the goalkeeper of IS Fortuna. His name is Henju Aliu. He's kept 4 clean sheets in 8 games. You begin to wonder that if Sombang Minang is dropped, maybe the next top goalkeeper should be picked, but no one looked his way.
Yes,
And also the Ballon d'Or winner Serge Daura. Coach David Pagu attempts an explanation why he left out the Ballon d'Or winner Serge Daura.
Oui, Serge Dora, je le connais depuis la saison dernière. Donc, il a créé l'écran la saison dernière. Donc, il est dans nos tablettes depuis. Donc, malheureusement, cette saison-ci, il a commencé le championnat juste à la 6e journée. Donc, voilà. Mais on continue de le suivre. Il a repris à la 6e journée, comme j'ai dit tantôt. Il a claqué 2 buts. Et voilà, il a 2 matchs aujourd'hui. Donc, donnons-lui le temps de se réadapter à notre championnat et on va le voir. Et le regroupement qui va commencer le 6, il ne sera pas là parce que on a fait avec ceux qui ont commencé le championnat. Donc voilà, on a misé sur ceux qui ont joué les 6 premières journées, les 7 avec celui qui va se jouer, celle qui va se jouer dimanche. Donc voilà un peu, je vous donne comme ça quelques biscuits par rapport à ce regroupement.
So, Prof, Pagu has given a reason why he left out Daura. Maybe you have one why the goalkeeper of Fortuna, Aliu Henry, was also left out from the list.
Henja, that's a curious case because to have played 8 games and
4 clean sheets.
4 clean sheets for IS Fortuna, that's not one of the top teams in the league. That shows that there's something that the club and the player are doing well. So it's quite strange for him not to be called up. And again, these choices usually have a certain level of subjectivity to them. We always want them to be very, very objective, but the reality is there's always an aspect of subjectivity, not just in Cameroon but across the world.
Coaches have always given strange reasons why they leave out certain players. The public can't understand, but they have the final say.
Yes, because it has to do with human management, team bonding, team sacrifice, who can be able to fit in within that atmosphere, within that compartment that you want to be able to build a human organization. So coaches look into all of these things. Some of them project. I mean, there are a couple of under 17 players who have been called up. So this is more of the future that is projected. Like, let me start getting you guys introduced into what the national team environment is like. So while we may expect the goalkeeper for Fortuna to feature in a 30 player selection of local players, the coach has his own reasons. Although I still expect Penja should have been part of that list.
Okay, we have the players per club. We have 4 players from Gazelle and 4 from Dynamo of Douala. Gazelle has Husseini Usmanu, their goalkeeper. There is Njakoa Amadou Mbanka, Mile Manyebe, their captain, and midfielder Arsene Mekila. Dynamo has 4 players as well. Manuel Maurice Nkulu, Joseph Alexandre Nde, Jefta Are Udwak, and Jules Amankwo. Aigle Royal de la Menoa have 3 players. Ismaël Michel Wanju Fans, goalkeeper as well for Aigle. Abdullah Adamu Libap and Eden Creole Imele, the man who scored 2 goals in match day 1 of this championship. 3 players from P. Bamenda, David Fernando Alaba, their left back, Bogart Eyong Besem Agbo, the son of Enes Agbo Ako, who plays as central defender, and Patrick Clover Fonga, a fighting midfielder for the Akpakwa Boys. 2 players from Kotospor of Garua, strangely, though Pagu is their coach. Cyril Domtume Makte and Issa Fadil Usmanu, their forward. Kanofia only have 2 players, Henry Claude Bala and Jean Osama. Fortuna Ofu have 2 players, Serge Valérie Elundun Jomo and Sébastien Noah Arnaud. Opopo have 2 players, defender Gilles-Franck Steli Peto and Nko Ngali Ratensi, former player of Isosa of Limbe. Fovazu of Yaoundé have 2 players, Almin Abdul and Ambrose Owundi Evuna. Panthers Sportifom, they have 2 players, Marc Javier Nomo Ongene and Conrad Mfansem Senior. Stade Rennais of Melon, 1 player, Junior Landry Kwam Mispo of Onkam, 1 player, Dylan Kwam Mbappe Akim, Atik Efe of Douala, 1 player, Roni Baliang Nungi, Bestas of Limbe, 1 player, a singular Bide. So 2 players coming from regional league sides, Bestas and Galactic FC of Douala. So like I said earlier on, 30 players from 14 clubs.
Yes, and it has been able to sort or scout for players across different levels. I mean, that is also a good thing. It means he has his eyes on the ground. And some of these players, it shows that he has been following them up, because regional leagues in most areas have not started. Bestas, for example.
Bestas had 2 players in the Unifac tournament in the DR Congo.
So it shows he's covered his grounds when it comes to the scouting. Hopefully, he will now be able to find the right players. Now, I usually tend to have an issue like, why would you be doing a selection for the national team? The national team is the crown jewel where you select players. I would have been expecting that they could be able to have this team, then look for a friendly where this team can play, let's say, Chad or Gabon or Cote d'Ivoire.
Well, it's not an international window. Cameroon have given their league a break to accommodate this training camp. The other countries, their leagues are up and running. So it's difficult to have a friendly unless it was properly arranged.
So that is the situation. Hopefully, I mean, it should not just be a situation where these players are caught up or fancy. Hopefully, we are going to see more players from local clubs incorporated into the national team in order to give the league the exposure, the players the exposure that the national team comes with.
Okay, we take another break. My dear Miley Edmond, we shall be coming back to talk about our next talking point, that is the indomitable Lionesses as they prepare for the WAFCON. A WAFCON that we hear might be postponed. It is Kame Sports on LT Sports, broadcasting live from the Flexify Studios in Boya with me, Mwambo Edward, and Miley Edmond. Welcome back to the program. It's Kame Sports on Kame Foot on LT Sports. Miley Edmond. The WAFCON was supposed to begin on the 17th of this month, but echoes from Morocco are indicating that the tournament might be postponed. However, Cameroon and Nigeria have not been sleeping. They've been preparing, though Cameroon does not have a coach because the coach was fired and it's not been replaced. But Madeleine Mike Ndomu is the acting coach, and she's assembled a group of home-based players, and they had an exploit for the first time in African football history, the Cameroon national team in the women's category got a win against Nigeria. And surprisingly, these were all home-based players, whereas Nigeria had their players, Ajibade, all the players you can imagine for Nigeria, all the except Sisa Oshola Lemina. But this Cameroon team of home-based players managed to beat them in one of two games that are counting for preparations for the AFCON. For the women's AFCON. Again, I said we are not sure about the dates, but the teams are preparing.
I mean, the teams are preparing. It's unfortunate that there's a lot of uncertainty and quite so much disrespect and disregard to the women's game. That for a tournament which is programmed to start in 2 weeks' time or less than 2 weeks' time, there is no official announcement about if it's
whether or not it shall take place.
Although I mean,
we have applied to cover that tournament, and it's just abnormal that till this point CAF has not given us any replies whether we have been given the right to come or not, and it shows that the postponement is very likely.
Yes, I mean it is imminent. It would hold. I mean they did make an announcement that they were going to give a pronounce or send out information within the next 48 hours with regards to the AFCON. But we do know if somebody you follow global sports, you do know that from a logistics perspective, it is already off. I mean, AFCON will not take place this March in Morocco. I mean, most likely it's going to be August or September.
Two friendly games between Cameroon and Nigeria. The first one won by Cameroon thanks to a goal from Ivana Mbomozomo. Like I told you, that was a huge one, an exploit. No one saw it coming. So it's already down in history that Cameroon has once beaten Nigeria after multiple times of asking, losing multiple finals. But in a friendly, we got the better of the Super Falcons. Then in the return leg game, Nigeria came out firing from all cylinders. We got the opener from Kikimeva, but the Nigerians replied through Ihezu Chiwendu, Babajide Omorisola, and Michelle Alozie. So Nigeria went back with a 3-2 win on aggregate.
Yes, I mean, Coach Ndomo had that massive exploit in the first game. And it just goes to show you that at times when you trust local players, they tend to give in their all. I mean, that is their final. They know that is their audition in order to be part of the AFCON, or the WAFCON, sorry. And they did it. They came out with the exploit against Nigeria. Probably Nigeria underestimated Cameroon
in that first game.
Or the fact that they were playing a group of local players. So they went back and they came back full force in the second leg or in the return leg, and they won 3-1. But it shows
there was a question mark in this home-based team for Cameroon. The Ballon d'Or, Tiwa Lis was not in that team because again, these days there is a lot of score settling in Cameroon's football. She was left out because of what they did in Morocco during the Under-17 World Cup. They were sidelined, as they were labeled as ringleaders to that protest that was calling for the bringing back of coach Joseph Ndoko, and for that reason she was sidelined. She even made an apology, which probably explains why her Ballon d'Or was given to her. Probably we could have heard that the Ballon d'Or was withdrawn as well for disciplinary reasons. But she's Cameroon's best player, like I said earlier on. 22 league goals for Lekiefi, but she was not in this team. She came and watched.
Strange, very, very strange these days. I think the federation will have to be able to set up a charter that explains what players can do or players cannot do. In an age where we are clamoring for players to speak up, in an age where the federation president was known for speaking up every single time against injustice while he was a player, it is a shame that players are stifled and their voices are oppressed from simply expressing what they want or expressing, making demands. That should not be able to alienate a player from a team.
Not just her, there were 4 who were sidelined, and she jumped to the eye because she's Cameroon's best player at the moment. We are hoping that at least Tiwa Franch is recalled back in the Cameroon national women's team. We take another break. When we come back, we talk about the Unifact tournament, which Cameroon always wins, though these days we don't shine in the Under-17 AFCON. Prof, the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon went to Kinshasa in the DR Congo. They went, they saw, and they conquered because they came back as winners of the Unifac tournament that counts for the Central African qualifiers for the Under-17 AFCON. Cameroon qualified alongside the DRC, who played in the final with Cameroon, which they lost at home by 2-0. So the Lions roared again, like we've always been roaring in this tournament. But it's been a while since 2019 when Fabrice Nzie and Steve Mvue shined in Tanzania. Our Under-17 boys are struggling, but for the moment, they celebrate their victory in Kinshasa.
Yes, I mean, it was assembled a good number of players from academies around who went out there, and
the team went out without any official list, and we were asking questions, but as long as they came back with the victory, we keep away all the critics.
Yes, so they won. Hopefully they can now be able to continue the performance or showcase the performance from a sub-regional level to a bigger level, because we'll always find that issue whereby they always win Unifac, but when they get into a bigger competition like they did last time, they struggle. So hopefully they can now be able to transition to the continental stage and still perform well.
Okay, we shall be coming back with our last talking point on the program, that is the new Faker Foot building, Prof. Miley Edmond. At long last, the building is over the line. If you are just joining us, you are on Cameroon Sports on Lions Tracker Television with me, Mwambo Edward, and Miley Edmond, broadcasting from the one and only Flexify studio here in Molikoboya. Miley Edmond, from Iya Mohammed through Tombia Roko, through Bobondria Seydou, they all struggled to get this project over the line. Finally, Samuel Etofis is the man. You can say he is not the initiator of the project, but he must have done a lot to get it over the line. And the building is here. We can see him with the influencers, because they are his favorites, taking a tour of the building.
Yes, I mean, he made this his landmark project when he became FA president. And kudos to him, he has been able to get the building to where it is now, and it only goes to be able to show that with a certain level of commitment, we can now be able to achieve what is intended to achieve. We now expect that the same energy, passion, resources, and dedication that was shown in order to get the new building into place is now shown in other areas of Cameroon football, and in the next 4 or 5 years we will be blossoming across different sectors of our football.
We could say lots of things. We could argue from now to tomorrow. We could ask what are his achievements. He has the building to shine to our faces. This is all what we had time for this week on Camel Foot. I want to thank you, the man behind the cameras, Fun Lovett. Thank you, Lady Blanche Eba for moral support. Thank the team, the technical team led by Dr. Malum Herman Walters. Miley Edmond, thanks for coming through. Until next week, bye-bye from us.